Good evening. How's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Saturday night. It is 10 p.m. local time here. Don't forget, for some of us, I don't think Arizona or whatnot changes their time, but time change. Spring forward at 2 a.m. here. It is March 8th, 2025, Saturday night. Latest activity here on the Earthquake 3D globe shows a swarm of earthquakes over here across the southern end of the Nankai Trough. That is not something you want to see in that area. And I'm going to explain why here, because a similar event happened last year following some movement down here where the Japanese government put out a megaquake warning here for the Nankai Trough. That's this area down here. It's coming up on a regular interval of time from a period from the last big earthquake, and it's capable here of having a mega quake. I think that's where we may see our next mega quake happen. But look at this earthquake activity stirring up here. It all started off with a 5.7 this morning. A little bit later, 5.9, 4.7, 4.9, 5.1. No telling how many other earthquakes are in there. Looks like there's quite a few more in the lower 4 range and even the 3s here. So USGS only showing a handful, but even then that's still significant. The Nankai Trough sits over here off the coast of Japan. It's a major subduction zone. And if you look on this model, we'll start from the last one here, which was back in 1944, 1946. Now this subduction zone normally has a sequence of events that happens when it's getting ready to produce a big earthquake. It always comes. Well, there's section here. There's actually 5 sections: A, B, C, D, and E. The current activity that's taking place here on the globe is further down south here, just off of this area. But back in 1944. A 7.9 struck 2 years later, and 8.0, A and B. So first it was C and D, then it was A and B. As I said, it goes in sequences, or it can go all at once here, and even a bigger earthquake up to a 9.0. 1854, December 23rd, an 8.4 hit C, D, and E. And then the following day, on the 24th, A and B went with an 8.4. Here's a 7 years after the big old Cascadia earthquake there, 1700, right? This is 1707. An M8.6 struck here with all segments rupturing. A, B, C, and D ruptured back in 1605 with an M7.9. There's, and it doesn't take hundreds of years. Here we have 1605 to 1907, or 1707, excuse me. 1707 to 1854, and average intervals roughly around 100 years, maybe less on some segments. But what happened here back in 1944, section E did not pop. So they're expecting maybe here, if you look back, the last time E didn't take place or didn't hit in sequence, there was a what looks like a full rupture about 100 years later. So this area obviously capable of producing some big time earthquake activity. It's a subduction zone here off the I guess that'd be the south coast here of Japan. Very visible on the oceanic crust model. Again, this is the area that had a pretty good swarm out here last year, and it's kicking up again today. So I'm sure that's worrying the folks there across the Japan area. Again, the Japanese Meteorological Agency there put out a megaquake warning, increased the chance of having a megaquake on the subduction zone due to all the earthquake activity happening there. And it's I think it's coming up here. Within the last 7 days, not a whole lot of activity, just stirred up. But look at this deep earthquake here. Prior to this movement, actually yesterday, we had that super deep earthquake. There off the, this is into the Izu Trench. This is a subduction zone here underneath this area. And when an earthquake takes place here, these deeper quakes tend to add further strain across this area. That's just a general fashion where the pressure tends to transfer to. And it looks like it's getting ready there, maybe for some bigger earthquake activity. It's just, it's something to watch here pretty closely, folks. It's coming up on some time that has passed, and it's been somewhat active as well in the deeper regions here. Let me see if I can go back the last 30 days and check. There's one right on it, section just off F. This would be section F over here. That was a 5.8 end of February. Look at that, 245 miles deep. That's got to be adding a whole bunch of strain here. 207 miles deep for 4.1. So just got to watch it there, folks. That would be quite devastating. Not only the shaking and the large event, but the subsequent tsunami that would be produced out there. In fact, that area still shows a little bit of seismic gap there in the last 30 days. It's just building up. The strain is definitely accumulating on that subduction zone. So we'll continue to watch that. Quite active out here across the Philippines area as well, southward. That bunch of fours out there. Some from yesterday, but the majority of these from today across the area. Highly noticeable out here on the Earthquake 3D globe, but not quite as much and obvious as that cluster swarming going on there around that sensitive area. Up in Alaska, a couple earthquakes up there, 1.5, and looks like some other quake activity. Nothing big. That was a little weird. Let's try to slow down here. I'm just used to zooming in on these and looking here, but I'll slow down. Anchorage, couple earthquakes out here. Really nothing big, just some twos out there. Nothing along the subduction zone that I can see on the map. Across the area of the Pacific Northwest. It is a weekend, so most of the time earthquakes are not going to be reported here on the map unless they're of some significance, as far as the value goes. Only 1.8 showing up here earlier this evening in Washington. A couple earthquakes here in Northern California. Ever since I've been mentioning here that they're leaving out the small quakes, it seems like they've added them on. 1.7. Southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone. That's 13 miles deep here underneath that area. Do want to check out trimmer map tonight. So let's go over here to the Cascadia trimmer. Check out weather towards the end of this update video. Nothing. Zip zero. No trimmer being reported here across the west coast. That's the Cascadia subduction zone trimmer. As far as the rest of California here goes, Bay Area quieting down. Southern California, a little spotty out here. Not a whole lot going on. One earthquake above the 2.5 range here, right off the San Andreas Fault near Joshua Tree National Park. Thermal, 2.7. Very shallow crustal quake going on there. You can only assume that's due to the high strain out here on the plate boundary, the southern branch of the San Andreas Fault, which is capable of producing an 8.1. The last one was over 300 years ago for that segment. One earthquake out in Lucerne, Wyoming. That's a little odd one. Not for sure what's out there. Let's zoom in here. What is that? Is that some type of well out there? Or maybe a wastewater pond? I don't know. That's a little odd feature out there next to that earthquake. All right. Aside from that, really not a whole lot going on out there across the Yellowstone area. A quick glance at the Yellowstone overview right here. This is going to show us the some earthquake activity this morning, it looks like, but really not a whole lot since then. And they haven't even added those onto the map yet. Probably won't see them until Monday morning. But not a whole lot of earthquake activity. No doom and gloom. Subsidence continues out there across the caldera. Nothing of any interest out there for now. One earthquake out around western South Dakota. Let's see what's out there underneath this area. It looks like 2.9. The rest of the country still seeing some Oklahoma activity, and also down here in Texas. The New Madrid seismic zone, pretty quiet. The big picture, of course, is across the area of Japan right now. Definitely watch that. New Zealand quieting down. A lot of quiet activity here across the Fiji area. Eventually that will fill in. South America, 2.9. That's expected following the fracture boundary activity out here in the Nazca and the Antarctica plate. This area where that 4.9 struck normally adds further strain out here against the South America region. That's the Peru-Chile Trench where that 2.9 struck. They've had a 6-pointer there recently. Nothing big going on there for now. A little bit of movement up in the northern area. Let's see what we got going on around Greece. Let's see here. 4.9 in Greece earlier. The latest of 4.3 in the Mediterranean outside of Turkey. On that note, let's see what we got here for the Santorini volcano area. 454 earthquakes here in the last week, with the latest one being a 2.5 here in the northern edge of that cluster. Nothing big. In fact, the largest magnitude here was looks like a 3.8 today. We could probably see that on the geophysics side here real quick. Oh, let's go back over there and check it out. We'll zoom in here to the Santorini, Greece area. Right in the center of the caldera. Will show us, well, today's UTC time, 3/9. I'm not for sure if, I don't think that's a 3. But they have had it had a 3 in the last 24 hours or so. Still seeing earthquake activity. These are distant quakes. That's going to be the 5-pointer around Greece, a 4.9 around Turkey, a ways away from the Santorini area. But those are distant signals. The localized events will be more sharp, well-defined events. But still seeing earthquake activity. Nothing's changed yet, though. All right, aurora activity was ramping up earlier when I was doing the update this morning on the opposite side of me over here. Now it's light, dark over here across the North American side, and aurora activity has calmed down a little bit. There's still potential out here across the area of Alaska, Canada, Greenland, and Iceland, but not as intense as what we had this morning. And I don't know if that's going to kick back up overnight, but there's possibilities here. We'll watch that through the night. Actually, over the next couple nights here, we have chances of seeing up to a G1 class storm. That's pending all conditions are favorable for the auroras there. No major flaring activity taking place. Let's go ahead and check out the latest magnetogram image here. See what we have. Magnetogram image of the sun shows complexity here, magnetic structure in the sunspots. Not a whole lot with these areas right here. There's 3 of them. But earlier this morning, there's an active region out here on the far eastern limb. You can just barely see it out there. I'm going to run over and check out the far side. We'll probably get a little bit better glimpse of it. This is from the 28th. This is from today. So, yeah, it's going to be this area right here. This is the eastern limb, right? So the sunspots come around the eastern limb here onto the Earth-facing side, which is right here. These are the very weak sunspots I just showed you. Earlier this morning, some type of massive flare going on there from that sunspot. So we should get a better view of this. We're just barely seeing it on the magnetogram image. But tomorrow morning and throughout the next couple days, I have a feeling solar flare activity will probably ramp up once this comes into a more Earth-directed view. And it looks like another one behind that. But that's right now the only 2 areas on the far side. This is going to be the far side coming around to the eastern limb here. So we'll watch and wait, see if flare activity increases following that movement. The sunspots here, pretty bright here on the UV image of the sun, indicating some solar flaring going on. All right, Storm Prediction Center for severe weather. Nothing major going on here in the next couple days. Nothing really on the extended models yet, but it looks like Saturday got some severe weather event coming up here across the south. Let's put this into motion here. And it's actually going to be this low pressure that we're dealing with midweek. A lot of rain coming in Northern California. That low pressure system will scoot east, stir up that severe weather right here. Friday, Saturday, that a deep, super deep, massive low pressure there going to stir up that severe weather. And potential for tornado activity as well. Following that, looks like some more maybe not severe weather, but some activity stirring up down south. Oh man, a lot there, it looks like, on Thursday into Friday. So we'll have to watch that. Either way, you know, things are definitely getting interesting out here. Temperature anomalies. Texas is going to get some cold air there, but just a mixed bag of ingredients out here. And of course, when that happens, you get that severe weather threat. This is towards the end of March here. Looks like some heating going on, some more low pressures out there across California. I don't mind it, to be honest. I think it'd be nice to have rain through the rest of March and maybe even a little bit into April. Help keep things green out here. Maybe limit the fire season. But yeah, quite a bit of moisture coming into the Pacific Northwest, Northern California, Southern California getting in on the moisture content as well. Seismograph stations there, the live digital views are quiet. No signs of any earthquake activity on them right now, but again, you know, this area right here, got to watch it. Definitely a little concerning here, seeing that elevated movement here. I know this region is quite strained, and I'm definitely not hoping it happens, but, you know, all signs... Whoa, I got another 5.2 coming in there right now. It looks like it just popped up here on the USGS map. I see that, 5.2. That was at 9:57 here, so I'm really surprised we haven't seen that show up here. Maybe it did. Right about here you can see some of that wave feature on that Japan station, but that Japan station, Matsuhiro, looks like is a little bit further up north here. So that's a distance from the current ongoing swarm of activity, but hey, you know, as I speak, we're still seeing earthquake activity come into that region. It's just, got to watch it, folks. It's just one of many subduction zones that I'm watching here for some megaquake activity. Got the Hikurangi subduction zone, the Nankai Trough, Cascadia subduction zone there across the Pacific Northwest. I mean, 325 years ago, the last one struck there of 9.0. So, and of course, the Puerto Rico Trench up here, it's been quite active. Just an overall elevated pattern out here in certain regions, and got to be on guard, because when that big one hits out there, definitely it produces tsunamis every time there. And if you think about it, if we get one section going there, say A and B, kind of like I showed you guys on the map, it's almost guaranteed in the coming days. Maybe not, you know, not all the time do they see coming days. Sometimes it takes 2 years, it looks like, on the last one, 1944, and then 2 years later A and B went. But almost guarantee if A and B goes, C and D and E is going to follow. But it could be all at once here, and that's when the greater quakes occur, potentially up to a 9-pointer. So just watch it. Earthquakes continuing as I speak. We'll catch you guys out here in the morning unless something major happens overnight. Have a good one. Stay safe. And just be prepared out there.